Welcome to the show. Here we are. This is Speakers on Edge. Now, what is Speakers on Edge? Well, it was an idea I had a few years ago that today has come to reality. You see, many years ago, I was in the beautiful city of Kiev, Ukraine. And every couple of weeks, we would have a group of people get together and tell stories. 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute stories. Well, that group grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and storytelling became such an important part of our community. Now, as the stories grew, so too did the realization. Storytelling is one of those things that's really important to us. And we forget. If you look back through history and time, we have always been telling stories. And even today, with the world of social media, people tell stories. The stories are there to entertain, they're there to educate, they are there to inspire and motivate. They're there to connect with somebody. They're there to share their stories of transformation. And that's how Speakers on Edge was born. You see, this show is all about our guests. And on our show, we are going to have some incredible people. Now, I have been recording already and interviewing the most amazing people. And when I say interviewing, well, it's not really an interview until the end. Because it's a chance for people to come on board, share their story, share the journey that they went on. Now, some of these people are not professional speakers. They're not used to being on camera. They're not used to talking for an hour about their journey. These are real people with real stories. Some of them will make you smile. Some will make you cry. Some, I hope, will make you laugh. But every story that you hear on Speakers on Edge is the truth with transformation. Real people going through real experiences, changing their lives because of the situations that they've been dealt with. My name is Jayc Ryder. I'm your host. You'll see me at the beginning of every show and at the end. But in every show, you will have an opportunity to connect with our special guest. And that special guest, wow, I already know who some of them are. And I'm so excited to be able to share their stories with you. On this first show, we have the most special guest of all. Someone whose story will, well, it's rather close to my heart. It's transformational. It's a journey. It's life-changing. And our special guest on the very first show of Speakers on Edge, it's me! So, would you please welcome my special guest today, me? Okay, thank you. Thank you, me, for introducing me. Would you believe it? I was the shy kid. Yeah, I was the shy kid. You see, what happened was I was brought up in a beautiful city, but I went to a school that, well, bullying was rife. And here I was, the kid with the clean clothes, the kid with the lunchbox with food in it, the kid who was intelligent and smart and would sit at the front of the classroom and give the answers. I was the kid that was bullied. I was a kid whose lunch was stolen most days. I was a kid who would get pushed over. I was the kid who was afraid. Yeah, I was afraid. Lunchtime would come. I would have my lunchbox, and my mother always prepared beautiful food for me. There'd be a sandwich, there'd be some fruit, there'd even be a cake or a biscuit. I remember I would go and sit on the seats outside the classroom. I would open my lunchbox, and the bullies would appear whoosh, behind me. And the next thing you know, most of my lunch was gone. If I was lucky, there'd be something left for me to eat. If I was lucky. My mother wanted me out of that school. So she found a new school for me. Now, as an 8 or 9-year-old boy who's being bullied constantly, I was looking forward to getting away from there. But there was one problem. The school principal, he refused to agree to let me go to a new school. His argument, if I let all my good kids go, what am I left with? I didn't understand it at the time. I felt let down. I was suffering until one day. One day, it was lunchtime. I was on the sports field playing rugby. I had the ball under my arm. I'm running. The bullies are watching. And out of the corner of my eye, I see one bully. And what is he doing? He's running towards me like a locomotive. He is running fast and hard and faster and faster. He was going to collide with me. He wasn't just going to collide, he was going to take me down. You see, he wanted to be a bully. He was, I'll use the word auditioning. He was auditioning to be a bully. And his task was to take me down and take me down hard. And he was going to take me down hard. And he was running like a locomotive, chugga, 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 chugga. And I saw him out of the corner of my eye. And as I saw him out of the corner of my eye, something changed. I put out my arm. I stretched my arm out. The heel of the palm of my hand was locked in place. My elbow was locked. And as I'm running, we're intersecting. And the heel on the palm of my hand connected with his chin. And it didn't just connect with his chin. It lifted him a meter off the ground, 3 feet high. And I turned and dumped him to the ground. In that moment, I kept going. I scored a goal. I looked back, and this bully wannabe, was lying on the ground in a heap, crying. I had lifted him and dumped him to the ground as I ran. He wasn't going to tackle me. He wasn't going to get me. Amid the momentum, he didn't realize what happened, and he had the wind knocked out of him. Now I'm standing under the goalposts, and all the bullies who've been watching are running towards not him, me. They're running towards me. Oh, what do I do now? Do you know what happened? Next thing you know, I have the head bully, the guy who was in charge, put his arms around my shoulder, pat me on the back. That was awesome! Now all the other bullies are laughing, and I've been accepted. Does this make me a bully? All I did was stop myself from being tackled in a sports game. But the bullies, they now looked at me differently. They didn't look at me as that shy, weak child, that weak kid, that shy kid. They looked at me as an equal. They looked at me with respect. Hang on. I have to push someone to the ground to get them to respect me? Do I have to fight for respect? From that day onwards, my lunch was never stolen. I shared my lunch with the head bully when I wanted to. I didn't go hungry anymore. And the guy who was on the ground, he had to beat up another kid before he got accepted. But he couldn't touch me, and he was not allowed to touch me. It was the strangest experience. And then as I grew up, there were other bullies. Teachers. Yeah. Never forget a teacher who we went to school camp a couple of years later. And he was angry that I wasn't eating a wheat-based product for breakfast. Now, I'm gluten intolerant, so wheat's really bad for me. I was having cornflakes. It was all that they had back then. And he came up to me, "What are you doing eating that? You need a better breakfast than that. Here." And he grabbed a bowl of this wheat-based product, poured some milk on it, pushed it towards me. "Go on, eat now." And I'm sitting there shaking. I'm absolutely shaking. What the heck is going on? But I can't. It makes me sick. "I don't care," he said. "Eat it." And I said, but, and he goes, "Look, either eat it or get on the bus and you're going back home now today." I was, what the, I took in a spoon of this terrible product. Well, for me, it was a terrible product. I put it in my mouth. I started chewing. And I spat it out. He then screamed at me some more, sent me back to the dormitory. I don't know what was wrong with him that day, but he was screaming at a lot of us kids that day, not just me. I then managed to stay out of his way for the rest of that day and for the next few days of that school trip. We got back Saturday morning. We put all our projects into our classroom and we all went home, exhausted. 9 o'clock that night, I get a phone call from a friend of mine. Hey, the school's on fire. I went, what? Yeah, it looks like our classroom's on fire. I was pretty sure I knew which kid did it. Because those bullies from the previous school I'd been at, a couple of them were in my classroom, and I had seen them have an interaction with that teacher. Could we prove it? No. Sunday morning, I go to my school, and yep, my classroom had been destroyed. In our classroom was this teacher's 25 years of school experience and history. We had the best decorated classroom and best resources of any classroom in the school. We were the envy. Our classroom was the envy of all the other classes. We had all the creative items you could ever think of. We had amazing, the floor, the ceiling, the walls was all decorated by our work, by our projects. He had the most amazing book collections and resources that we could use. And it was all destroyed. We moved to a temporary classroom. That teacher, for the next 2 months of school, he was impossible to be around. He'd had his world destroyed. He'd had his history destroyed. I don't know what happened, why he was that way. But I'll never forget that school camp where I was yelled at for eating some food. We never know what's going on with people, do we? I left that school, went to another school, my college years. Wow. I had an injury in my knees, and it meant that when I ran, it would hurt. Basically, my kneecap would hit the bone when I ran. And so bone on bone hurts. Unfortunately, that wasn't diagnosed when I was a child. So I would do sports and fail badly. I'd be in constant pain when I was running. So every time we did any sort of movement that was above walking, I would be in pain. My physical education teacher, he hated that. He was the sportsman. He was the coach of the main rugby team, and everyone had to be doing sports in his mind. Cut a long story short, he didn't like me. He did everything he could to punish me. Because I wasn't any good at what I was doing, he chose to punish me. At parent teacher night, my mother stood there in front of all the other parents and all the other teachers. they had a screaming match. And he lost. Needless to say, from that day onwards, I was banned from his classroom. So what did I do instead of physical education? Well, I was good at photography. I was interested in photography. We had a photography club. So the teacher in charge of the photography club, she basically handed me the keys to the darkroom, gave me access to the most amazing camera equipment, and I became the photographer for our school magazine. And so I would have these beautiful, beautiful cameras. And I would, with amazing zoom lenses. And so instead of doing physical education, I would do photography. And I would go around the school during those physical education times. And I would take photographs for our school magazine. It would take hundreds, thousands of photographs every week. And then, once I had the film complete, I'd go into the darkroom and I'd develop them. We had our own developing system. It was all manual, and I would adjust the chemicals, dry the photographs. I was still shy. But I was doing something I loved to do, being around cameras. It was amazing. School prom, what a disaster. The girl I wanted to ask, I was too scared to. And the girl that I went with, well, I feel like she only agreed to go with me because no one had asked her either, other than me. I wasn't enjoying school. So I left. I didn't complete my college years. And instead, I joined a supermarket chain and entered their trainee management program to become the youngest manager in their history. I was good at it. I was still a bit shy, but you could get me on the supermarket speaker system. Good afternoon and welcome. Today in our bakery, we have blah, blah, blah for this price. Thank you for shopping with us. On the PA system. Standing at the checkouts. I was in charge. I was the boss. As a 16, 17, 18-year-old, I was in charge of the checkout system. I had the keys to the safe. I would be in charge of making sure everybody's tills balanced. I was responsible for staff hiring and firing. But I was still shy. I left that industry. Well, I left the supermarket and instead became a sales rep for a well-known food product company. And if you smile and you focus on teeth, you might know which company it is. Anyway, as I'm driving around, I'm given supermarkets as my territory. And in one supermarket, there happened to be one of the favorite people in the world, my Auntie Joy. And she was in charge of the checkouts. She didn't know that her store was on my territory. It was my first day of my new territory, and I was going to her store. Now, what you do is you would go to the checkout control area, you would sign in and get a visitor's badge. So you could walk around the building and people wouldn't be suspicious. So I walk in and I'm in my suit and I've got a tie on, and I walk up behind my auntie. She doesn't see me coming. She's one of my favorite people in the world, and sadly, she has passed on. But at that moment, she turned to her girls, to all the ladies that she worked. This is my nephew. This is my shy little nephew. And she says that to them. Now, it's the first time I've been in this store, and these are people that I'm going to have to see every week. And she described me as the shy kid. How the hell do I get away from that shy label? Unfortunately, as time went on, another year went by and I had an accident where I lost the use of my right arm. It destroyed my confidence. It destroyed what little confidence I had. It destroyed it. I then did a diploma in computer studies. I started building computers, selling computers, supporting computers. I ended up working for a national television company behind the scenes. We had 1,500 computers. We had satellite dishes. We had microwave transmitters. We had broadcast equipment. We had editing equipment. We had mainframes. It was a computer dream. We had fiber optic cables. We had coaxial cables. We had category 5 cables for the geeks in the audience. And I was the senior tech. I was the guy who fixed everything. But I was still shy. I was still shy. I'd see celebrities, TV stars, movie stars, music stars, journalists, people who would be on camera, and people that were household names. Yeah, hi, I'm here to fix your computer. I couldn't look them in the eye. My boss, he saw this and he said, right, I'm sending you on a course. Okay, I've got to do training somewhere. And he says, and the course is public speaking with a world Toastmaster champion, a man called David Nottage. Well, I went to David's course, and it was just a one-day course. And in the morning, he goes, right, introduce yourself. And yeah, hi, I'm me. I couldn't, I'm just standing there afraid. And he goes, right, now write it out into bullet points. So I wrote it out in bullet points and read from my bullet points. Hi, I'm blah, 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 because I knew what I was going to say. And then he goes, now I want you to move and make your move huge. Make your move really big. Make your movements huge. And so I created a new speech. And I moved from here to here and over to there and over to there. You know what happened? I loved it. It was like I just suddenly opened, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. It clicked. I realized that at that point, my voice was my power. My voice was the tool. My voice was the gift that I have. And my voice would be the way of my future. And I continued working in television, and this time I wasn't afraid anymore. I met some amazing celebrities. But more important, I found me. Now, I left that country and moved to Australia. While I was in Australia, every day, 3 times a day, I would stand in front of an audience. Now, that audience could be 2 people, it could be 200, it could be 2,000. And I would be giving speeches, and I would be doing presentations, corporate presentations. I would be in front of CEOs of banks and finance institutions and police and governments, and I would be in front of the most amazing people. And every day I would be speaking. I also got cured. Remember that injury where I had lost the use of my right arm? That got cured after 10 years. I took up dancing, and because of my aptitude and my commitment, I was invited to become part of the teaching staff. And so then I would start teaching beginners and intermediate level at a dance school. It was a life-changing moment. I remember, to represent the school, there was this Italian fiesta. You know, hundreds of thousands of people would come to the fiesta in Sydney, Australia. And they had stages, entertainment stages, and our school were offered to do a display there. And so I was the lead person for the display. I had a dancer with me, and I had 3 other couples who were dancing, and we were going to do a dancing demonstration. Now we've got thousands of people on the street watching us, and the music didn't work. The tech guy was having problems. I managed to get Ross, the accordion player, up on stage with us to play us some music so we could dance for people. It was one of those moments where everything's going wrong. How do I make this work? I've got a microphone in front of thousands of people and everything's going wrong. How do I handle what's going wrong? I thought fast. I interviewed my fellow dancers for a moment to give the tech guy a couple of minutes. But then you know what I did? I found Ross, the accordion guy, and he had his squeeze box, and he came up and he played for us. After this, we come off stage and my dancers go out and hand out flyers to the many people that were there. I stay behind the stage. I'm exhausted, shattered. And my dancers come back and they're, oh my God, you were fantastic. You were amazing. Well done. It was, hang on. Auntie Joy described me as her shy nephew. He's the shy kid. And I've just been on stage in front of thousands of people whilst disaster was happening. And they think I'm wonderful. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? What am I thinking about me? What am I saying to myself? I'm saying to myself that I'm the shy kid, not Auntie Joy. I'm telling myself that I'm the shy kid. I'm telling myself that I'm the victim to the bully. The bully in these stories. Yeah, there's some people out there that are not so nice. But there was one person who wasn't very nice at all, most of the time. And that person was the one I was thinking of. That person was the one I was listening to. That person was the one that I couldn't escape from. Me. I was bullying me. I was telling me that I was the shy person. I was the person telling me that I wasn't good enough. But hang on, mistakes happen. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. Guess what? Everybody makes mistakes. Things go wrong in everybody's life. And the thing that mattered, the thing that was the hardest lesson for me to accept was loving me unconditionally. I had to love me unconditionally. But guess what? Guess what I'd been taught to do? I'd been taught to please everybody else. I had been taught that if you make somebody else happy, then you can be happy. I had been taught your feelings mattered more than mine. Your happiness mattered more than mine. It screwed up my relationships. But do you know what it also did? It lit a fire in me to study psychology. It lit a fire in me to study counseling. It lit a fire in me to do coaching and help other people who didn't believe in themselves to find a way to believe in themselves. Did it work? No, not on me. Did it work on the others? Yeah. That's the thing. It worked for everybody else, but it wasn't working for me still. Why? These techniques that I created, they worked for everybody else. They didn't work for me. Why? Was I putting in the work? Yeah. Was I making the effort? Yeah. Was I doing the actions? Yeah. So why wasn't it working for me? It wasn't working because there was one thing missing. And it was the one thing that took me a while to discover. And in 2012, or was it 2011? 2012. I left Australia. I gave up my home. I gave up everything to be on television in the country of Ukraine, to be on a reality TV show called Bit for Extrasensitive, Battle of the Psychics. Because I wanted to, I knew I was psychic, and I had been a practicing psychic medium for close to 20 years. But it was yet another skill, another aspect of me that I wasn't 100% confident with. And I wanted to prove to me what I could be for me. So I went to Ukraine. I represented Australia. Out of the thousands of Australian psychics that were invited, I was the one who was chosen. I traveled to Ukraine. I spent 6 months being tested by skeptics. And in the first 3 months, I was competing with psychics from all over the world, from the UK, USA, Canada, Azerbaijan, Czech Republic, Ukraine, Russia, and many other countries. I was in the top 20, then in the top 10. 3 months of testing, and we had to do a visa run, and I had to go and pick up my winter clothing, what was left from Australia, and bring it back. It was getting cold in Ukraine. And on that plane flight from Ukraine back to Australia, it's 30 hours and 3 flights. And with those 30 hours, there's a lot of thinking time. And I was sitting there going, wow, I have just spent the last 3 months competing. I'm going to beat these people. Ha ha, I'm better than them. Ha ha. And I just went, ugh, that's not who I am. I don't want to go back and do that again for another 3 months. What would I do to go back? If I was to go back for another 3 months, how could I make that 3 months better? By being the best me, by just being me, authentically, 100% completely accepting me, the good, the bad, and the ugly about me, accepting me, loving me. Remember I said earlier about there was something missing, but it was working for everybody else? The one thing that was missing was love. I wasn't loving me. But what I was teaching to my clients, I was teaching them to love themselves. And as each client loved themselves, the miracles happened, the magic happened. I came back to Ukraine, a different person. I then spent the next 3 months not competing. I spent the next 3 months being the best me. I spent those 3 months loving me. I spent those 3 months shining, being authentically me. And you could see the producers of the show getting confused. They were so confused at what's going on with him. We don't understand. He's not the same person, but we can't do anything to disturb him. I wasn't stressed. I wasn't disturbed. I wasn't bothered by any of the actions they put us through. At the end of the show, by SMS voting, I was awarded 3rd place best psychic medium in the world. And I won something even better. I had found love. I had found a partner. But more importantly, I'd found me. I found me. I then went on to host a whole heap of other episodes of another psychic show called Psychic Investigations. Now, in that show, we solved murders, mysteries, suicides, and various other highly emotive stories. I'll never forget, after filming one day, a very, very disturbing story. We've been filming from 7 in the morning till 11 p.m. at night, with only about a 2-hour break for lunch. I was exhausted. And I'm walking back to the bus with my translator. And this big Ukrainian man walks up to me, the father of the girl who's sadly had passed in that story. And it was a very tragic story, what she had gone through. He walked up to me and he said, I need to say something. Okay, now he's speaking in Ukrainian and my translator's translating it for me because I wasn't allowed to speak Ukrainian. I had to speak English. And he said, thank you for everything you have done today. You have brought peace to my heart and the heart of my wife. You have brought honor to our family, and you will always be welcome in our home and in our hearts. Now, this guy was 6'6", taller than me, big, strong, handsome Ukrainian man. And he has a tear coming down. It was the most beautiful thing, the most beautiful moment. I just put my arms around, we hugged. It was one of those moments where I loved me for that moment. I really loved me in that moment. Now, since appearing on that TV show, I've had a couple of people contact me who were contemplating suicide, who were actually in the process of suicide, and I stopped them. I've had many different clients and stories. And then it all changed again. You see, I'd been house sitting in Singapore for many months, swimming every day, and my small intestine burst when I was in Ukraine. I'd come back to Ukraine with a six-pack. Man, I looked good. But unfortunately, with that six-pack, my small intestine burst because of the way my body had been made. My small intestine was attached to my belly button. And so as I got my beautiful six-pack, it ripped. After a day and a half, the surgeons in Ukraine were too afraid to operate, and I had to scream at them because I could feel myself dying. I won't say the bad language that I used, but it was, la la la, cut me open. I'm dying. They did an MRI, and then moments later, yes, they realized what had happened. I'm now being taken, rushed to the operating theatre for emergency surgery. I could see darkness coming all around me. It was getting darker and darker and darker. I knew at that moment I was going to die, and there was nothing I could do. And I surrendered. we discovered something else about me whilst that operation was happening. Two things. Number one, I'm allergic to general anesthetic, a certain brand of general anesthetic that is used. It's the cheapest general anesthetic, and I'm allergic to it. My heart stopped. I left my body, and as I rose up above my body, I could see I had 5 surgeons working on me. I went to a big room, and in that room was 10,000 angels. And standing in front of them was Archangel Michael. And he gave me the message: you can stay or you can go back. And if you go back, you have many lives to save. And how am I meant to save lives? I don't know how to save a life. Well, obviously, I came back. When I woke up, I'm lying in the recovery room. My body is tied to the bed. My feet are tied to the bed. My arms are tied to the bed. My head is tied to the bed. And there's this big tube down my mouth. And I'm naked. Do you know what I felt? I felt the greatest love I could have ever felt. I felt so much love. I felt like I was just pure love in that moment. It was a rebirth. In my eyes, that feeling of love is that feeling that the baby has when it is born. I felt so much love in that moment. Then people arrived. I was untied. My stuff was taken out. I'll spare some of the gory details. Three days later, the surgical team come into my room to check on me. They can't understand how my blood pressure's normal, my vitals are all good, I'm not in pain, and they've got me on minimal painkillers. I appear to be recovering faster. How can I recover so fast? I spent 12 days in that hospital. There were people there that didn't like me. There was one doctor who didn't like that I was there. He didn't believe in any of the woo-woo stuff, any of the psychic stuff. He was a skeptic. But there were other people there whose mind were open, whose beliefs and values were open. To this day, I'm still friends with a couple of my surgeons and their families. It's been 10 years since that happened. And I'm so grateful. So grateful. But do you know what also happened? I had to start again. I had to discover me again. I had to discover my life again. Who am I? And so what did I do? I went back to my old things, the stuff that I knew I could do. Some things worked, some things didn't for me. I was coaching, and during my coaching, I would help so many people. Oh my goodness. The success stories of all my clients was huge. So was my success. I was creating a new life for me. Then in 2022, my world changed yet again. You see, that's when Russia invaded Ukraine. Now, I'm not going to comment about that any more than what it is. The tragedy is that I have had friends who have been killed. And every day, more and more people lose their lives. After seeing 3 missiles explode in front of me, a couple of kilometers from me, I was afraid. I got scared. But I had the opportunity that most of the men in Ukraine didn't have. I could leave. As a foreigner living in Ukraine, even though I had residency, I could leave. And I remember sitting there after watching these missiles explode in front of me. I was outside and I saw them. And I could feel the cold death energy from them. And I went, how can I be the best me in this environment? I need to leave. And so I moved to the Baltic Sea in Poland. That evacuation was extremely hard, and our train was missed by 8 cruise missiles by 20 minutes. We left the station 20 minutes later, 8 cruise missiles hit that area. We were very lucky. More importantly, since then, since being out of Ukraine, I've been able to help and support over 100 Ukrainian families through my nonprofit. We have helped them with food, counseling, clothing, accommodation, and much more. Now, here we are on Speakers on Edge. Am I the shy kid anymore? No. But yes, but no. I'm not shy. I'm not going to say that to myself anymore. Am I bullied? No. I'm not going to allow myself to be bullied or to bully myself anymore. I say nice things about me now, every day. I don't just say them, I feel them, I live them, I believe them. It's been an incredible journey. And these are only highlights that I've shared with you today. But through all this, remember, Archangel Michael said to me, You have lives to save. And I was, well, how am I going to save lives? And that's because what I do today, when I coach people, I teach them how to find love for themselves, how to love themselves. No matter what you do, no matter who you are or where you are in the world, when you love yourself, miracles happen, magic happens. It's a journey. And the more you live a life loving yourself, the more miracles, the more magic happens. My name is Jayc Ryder. You can contact me at jaycryder.com. Or, of course, you can get hold of me at speakersonedge.com as well. So that's my story. And that's our first episode of Speakers on Edge. Coming up on the next episode, we have Sammy Lee. Sammy Lee is one of the brightest lights of life you could ever meet, whose story will break your heart. That's it for this episode. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching Speakers on Edge, your story, your way.